Welcome to Book Buzz Reviews and Summaries. Rethinking Narcissism: The Secret to Recognizing and Coping with Narcissists by Dr. Craig Malkin. Life isn't a polished Instagram reel. It's messy, unpredictable, and full of hard things. In How to Do Hard Things, Veronica dearly cuts through the noise with humor, honesty, and real-life advice on navigating the chaos of adulthood. Whether it's tackling tricky friendships, surviving heartbreak, building a career, or managing your mental health, Dearly's approach is refreshingly relatable and practical. She reminds us that struggling doesn't mean failing, it means living. Packed with wit and wisdom, this book is your guide to facing life's challenges with courage, compassion, and the occasional laugh. Because doing hard things doesn't have to feel impossible. Part 1. Understanding Narcissism as a Spectrum. In Rethinking Narcissism: The Secret to Recognizing and Coping with Narcissists, Dr. Craig Malkin presents an innovative, evidence-based perspective on narcissism. Instead of viewing narcissism solely as a personality disorder or a negative trait, Malkin redefines it as a spectrum, a concept that is essential to understanding how narcissism manifests in different individuals. Part 1 of the book lays the groundwork for this rethinking by explaining the nuances of narcissism, its roots, and why it matters to every aspect of our lives. This section hooks readers by challenging conventional stereotypes about narcissism and showing that it's not always harmful. Chapter 1. The Narcissism Spectrum. Malkin begins by dismantling the idea that narcissism is simply about selfishness, arrogance, or vanity. Instead, he introduces the idea of the narcissism spectrum. According to Malkin, everyone falls somewhere on this spectrum, which ranges from egoism, a total lack of self-focus, on one end to pathological narcissism on the other. The three zones of the narcissism spectrum. 1. Egoism. At the farthest end of the spectrum are people who avoid attention and praise, sometimes to an unhealthy degree. Egoists fear appearing self-centered and often suppress their own needs, leading to poor self-esteem and difficulty setting boundaries. 2. Healthy narcissism. In the middle of the spectrum lies healthy narcissism, which Malkin describes as essential to well-being. People with healthy narcissism have a balanced sense of self-worth. They can accept praise, enjoy recognition, and seek fulfillment without exploiting others. 3. Extreme narcissism. At the far end is pathological narcissism, characterized by excessive self-focus, lack of empathy, and an insatiable need for admiration. This is where narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, falls, but Malkin emphasizes that not everyone with extreme narcissistic tendencies has a full-blown disorder. By framing narcissism as a spectrum, Malkin broadens the conversation. Rather than labeling people as narcissists or non-narcissists, he encourages readers to consider where they, and the people in their lives, fall on this scale. This shift in perspective is a powerful hook, as it invites readers to reflect on their own behavior and relationships. Chapter 2. The Narcissism Epidemic. Malkin highlights how modern culture has contributed to an apparent rise in narcissistic traits, often referred to as a narcissism epidemic. From social media to celebrity culture, we live in a world that glorifies self-promotion, individualism, and image over substance. However, Malkin cautions against oversimplifying this trend. He points out that while some individuals may become more self-centered, others are becoming increasingly egoistic, avoiding self-focus entirely. Cultural shifts and their impact. Social media. Platforms like Instagram and Facebook amplify the desire for likes and validation, creating a breeding ground for narcissistic behavior. However, Malkin is careful to note that not everyone who shares selfies is a narcissist. Social media simply provides tools that can magnify tendencies already present in individuals. Parenting styles, overprotective or overly permissive parenting, can contribute to narcissism. Children who are constantly praised without earning it may develop an inflated sense of self, while those who are neglected or criticized may overcompensate by seeking excessive admiration as adults. Consumerism, a culture of materialism and instant gratification, also feeds narcissistic tendencies. People are encouraged to focus on external achievements and possessions as measures of self-worth, often at the expense of genuine connections. While the cultural narrative often paints narcissism as purely negative, Malkin urges readers to think critically. The rise in narcissistic traits isn't entirely about vanity or selfishness. It's also tied to deeper issues like insecurity, loneliness, and a lack of meaningful relationships. Chapter 3. What drives narcissism? To understand narcissism, Malkin explains, we need to explore its psychological roots. At its core, narcissism is about a desire to feel special or unique. This need exists in everyone to some degree. It's part of being human. Problems arise when this need becomes either too overwhelming, as an extreme narcissism, or completely absent, as an egoism. The role of feeling special. Malkin argues that the desire to feel special is neither good nor bad. In fact, feeling special can be incredibly motivating and fulfilling. It drives people to achieve, to connect with others, and to find meaning in their lives. However, when this desire becomes excessive or unmet, it can lead to unhealthy behavior. Unmet needs. People who were neglected or criticized in childhood may become excessively focused on seeking admiration to compensate for feelings of worthlessness. Excessive praise. On the other hand, individuals who were constantly told they were special without earning it may develop an inflated sense of self, leading to entitlement and arrogance. Malkin introduces the idea of the mirror-hungry narcissist, who constantly seeks validation from others, and the power-hungry narcissist, who uses dominance and control to feel special. These profiles help readers recognize the different ways narcissism can manifest. Chapter 4. Healthy Narcissism and Why It Matters. One of the most surprising and refreshing concepts in Malkin's book is the idea of healthy narcissism. In this chapter, he explains why a moderate amount of narcissism is not only normal but beneficial. People with healthy narcissism enjoy recognition and praise but don't depend on it for their self-worth, have strong boundaries, and can assert their needs without feeling guilty, inspire others through their confidence and vision without exploiting or manipulating them. Benefits of healthy narcissism. Malkin argues that healthy narcissism is essential for happiness and success. It allows people to 1. Pursue ambitious goals. A sense of self-worth drives people to aim high and work hard. 2. Build strong relationships. Confidence and self-respect make it easier to connect with others in a meaningful way. 3. Bounce back from failure. People with healthy narcissism are resilient. They don't let setbacks define them. By redefining narcissism as a spectrum that includes a healthy middle ground, Malkin challenges the stigma around the term. He encourages readers to embrace their own healthy narcissism as a source of strength and to recognize it in others as a positive quality. Chapter 5. Spotting Extreme Narcissism. In this chapter, Malkin helps readers identify the signs of extreme narcissism. While not everyone with narcissistic tendencies is harmful, certain behaviors can be toxic in relationships, workplaces, and families. Malkin provides a list of red flags, such as a lack of empathy. Extreme narcissists struggle to understand or care about others' feelings. A need for constant admiration. They crave attention and validation, often at the expense of others. Manipulative behavior. Extreme narcissists use tactics like gaslighting or guilt-tripping to maintain control. Narcissism versus narcissistic personality disorder. Malkin also clarifies the difference between someone with narcissistic traits and someone with narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. NPD is a clinical diagnosis characterized by a pervasive pattern of grandiosity, entitlement, and lack of empathy. However, most people with narcissistic tendencies don't meet the criteria for NPD. This distinction is crucial for understanding how to navigate relationships with narcissistic individuals, which Malkin addresses in later chapters. Chapter 6: The Egoist Trap. While much of the cultural conversation focuses on extreme narcissism, Malkin shines a spotlight on the other end of the spectrum: egoism. Egoists are often overlooked because their behavior is the opposite of what we associate with narcissism. They avoid attention, downplay their achievements, and fear being seen as self-centered. The roots of egoism. Egoism often stems from childhood experiences, such as growing up with a narcissistic parent. Egoists learn to suppress their needs and desires to avoid conflict or criticism. While their humility and selflessness can be admirable, egoism becomes problematic when it leads to difficulty setting boundaries, low self-esteem, and feelings of worthlessness, a tendency to attract and tolerate toxic relationships. Malkin emphasizes that egoism is just as harmful as extreme narcissism. Both represent an imbalance in the spectrum, and both require healing and self-awareness to overcome. Part 2: Navigating Relationships with Narcissists. In Part 2 of Rethinking Narcissism, Dr. Craig Malkin shifts the focus from understanding narcissism to the practical and emotional challenges of navigating relationships with narcissists. Whether it's a partner, parent, friend, or colleague, dealing with someone who exhibits narcissistic tendencies can be draining, confusing, and even harmful. This section provides actionable advice, empowering readers to set boundaries, protect their well-being, and rebuild their confidence while still fostering empathy for the narcissist when appropriate. Malkin emphasizes that not all narcissists are the same, and that understanding their motivations and behaviors is key to developing effective strategies for coping. Chapter 7: Recognizing the Narcissists in Your Life. The first step in managing relationships with narcissists is recognizing their behavior. In this chapter, Malkin elaborates on the different types of narcissists and their specific traits. He categorizes narcissists into 3 main profiles, each requiring a distinct approach. 1. The mirror-hungry narcissist. These individuals constantly seek validation and praise to maintain their fragile sense of self-worth. They may seem charming and engaging at first, but their need for admiration can quickly become exhausting. Strategies for coping include offering balanced feedback, acknowledging their strengths while encouraging them to focus less on external validation. 2. The power-hungry narcissist. Power-hungry narcissists dominate, control, and manipulate others to feel special. They thrive on authority and influence. They often use tactics like intimidation, gaslighting, or withholding affection to maintain their dominance. Malkin stresses the importance of setting firm boundaries with power-hungry narcissists and resisting their attempts to undermine your confidence. 3. The indifferent narcissist. This group appears emotionally detached and uninterested in others. Their narcissism manifests as aloofness and self-sufficiency. Indifferent narcissists may seem cold or unempathetic, but this behavior often masks deep fears of vulnerability and rejection. Building trust and encouraging open communication can help, but Malkin warns against expecting too much emotional warmth. By categorizing narcissists into these profiles, Malkin helps readers identify the behaviors they are dealing with and tailor their responses accordingly. Chapter 8: The Cost of Narcissistic Relationships. Being in a close relationship with a narcissist, whether romantic, familial, or professional, comes with significant emotional and psychological costs. In this chapter, Malkin outlines the most common challenges. Emotional exhaustion. Narcissists' constant need for attention can leave their partners feeling drained and overlooked. Erosion of self-esteem. Narcissists often criticize or belittle others to elevate themselves, leading to feelings of inadequacy in their loved ones. Dependency. Narcissists may create a dynamic where others feel dependent on their approval, making it harder to leave the relationship. Toxic cycles. Relationships with narcissists often involve patterns of idealization, devaluation, and discard, which can be deeply destabilizing. Malkin offers reassurance to readers who may be blaming themselves for staying in such relationships. He explains that narcissists can be highly skilled at manipulation, and it's not uncommon to feel trapped. The key is to recognize these patterns and take steps to regain control. Chapter 9. Setting Boundaries with Narcissists. One of the most empowering tools for dealing with narcissists is learning to set and maintain boundaries. This chapter provides a step-by-step guide for establishing healthy limits while protecting your emotional well-being. 1. Identify your needs. Malkin encourages readers to reflect on what they want and need in the relationship. This clarity is essential for setting meaningful boundaries. 2. Communicate assertively. Instead of resorting to passive-aggressive or confrontational tactics, use clear and direct language to express your boundaries. For example, I need to take a break from this conversation because it's becoming too heated. 3. Be consistent. Narcissists often test boundaries to see if they can push past them. Staying firm and consistent is crucial to enforcing limits. 4. Prepare for pushback. Malkin warns that narcissists may react negatively to boundaries, either through anger, guilt-tripping, or manipulation. Anticipating these reactions can help you stay grounded. By setting boundaries, readers can regain a sense of agency in their relationships. This practice not only protects them from harm, but also encourages narcissists to adjust their behavior, though Malkin is careful to point out that change is never guaranteed. Chapter 10. Recognizing when to walk away. While some relationships with narcissists can be managed with boundaries and communication, others are simply too toxic or damaging to continue. In this chapter, Malkin helps readers evaluate whether it's time to end the relationship. Signs it's time to leave. Narcissists who are abusive, manipulative, or unwilling to change may leave you with no choice but to walk away. Malkin provides a checklist of behaviors to watch for, such as repeated gaslighting, verbal abuse, or complete disregard for your needs. The fear of leaving. Malkin addresses the psychological barriers that often keep people in unhealthy relationships, such as fear of being alone, guilt, or financial dependence. He offers strategies for overcoming these fears and finding support. Rebuilding after the breakup. Leaving a narcissist can be emotionally and practically challenging, but it's also an opportunity for growth and healing. Malkin shares advice on how to rebuild self-esteem, reconnect with supportive people, and rediscover a sense of self. This chapter is particularly powerful because it validates the reader's struggles while offering hope and practical guidance. Malkin emphasizes that leaving a narcissistic relationship is not a failure. It's an act of courage and self-respect. Chapter 11. Coping with Narcissistic Family Members. While it's possible to end a relationship with a narcissistic partner or friend, dealing with narcissistic family members, such as parents or siblings, can be more complicated. In this chapter, Malkin explores the unique challenges of navigating these lifelong connections. The impact of narcissistic parents. Growing up with a narcissistic parent can leave lasting scars, from low self-esteem to difficulty trusting others. Malkin explains how to recognize these effects and begin the healing process. Setting boundaries with family. Just as with other narcissists, setting boundaries with family members is essential. However, family dynamics often add layers of guilt and obligation, making it harder to enforce limits. Choosing your level of involvement. Malkin encourages readers to decide how much contact they want with narcissistic family members. For some, limited interaction may be the healthiest choice. For others, maintaining a more distant but respectful relationship may work. This chapter provides practical tools for navigating the complexities of family relationships while protecting one's mental health. Chapter 12. Narcissism in the Workplace. Malkin rounds out Part 2 by addressing narcissism in professional settings. Whether it's a boss, colleague, or client, dealing with a narcissist at work can be particularly challenging because of the power dynamics and the need to maintain professionalism. Identifying workplace narcissists. Narcissistic coworkers often exhibit behaviors like taking credit for others' work, dismissing feedback, or undermining colleagues. Malkin helps readers recognize these patterns. Coping strategies. Malkin offers specific advice for managing narcissistic behavior in the workplace, such as documenting interactions, finding allies, and learning when to escalate issues to higher authorities. Focusing on your own goals. Rather than getting caught up in a narcissist drama, Malkin advises readers to stay focused on their own professional growth and goals. This chapter equips readers with the tools to navigate workplace dynamics while maintaining their sanity and career trajectory. Part 3. Cultivating Healthy Narcissism and Personal Growth. In the final section of Rethinking Narcissism, Dr. Craig Malkin shifts the focus toward healing, fostering healthy narcissism, and reclaiming personal power. This part explores how to balance self-confidence and humility, nurture deeper connections with others, and encourage positive transformation in ourselves and those around us. Malkin highlights the importance of moving away from extremes, either self-sacrificing humility or overblown egotism, and embracing a balanced self-view that enables personal growth and meaningful relationships. Chapter 13. Embracing Healthy Narcissism. Malkin begins this chapter by reintroducing the idea of healthy narcissism, a concept that encourages individuals to value themselves while maintaining empathy for others. Unlike pathological narcissism, healthy narcissism is empowering, allowing people to feel special without disregarding the feelings and needs of others. Here, Malkin identifies key characteristics of healthy narcissism. Self-respect. Individuals with healthy narcissism value themselves and their contributions without needing constant validation from others. Empathy. They are capable of understanding and caring about others' experiences, creating meaningful and balanced relationships. Resilience. Healthy narcissism fosters the ability to bounce back from setbacks and maintain a sense of optimism. Realistic confidence. People with healthy narcissism believe in their abilities without becoming arrogant or dismissive of others. Malkin emphasizes that cultivating healthy narcissism is not about becoming more self-absorbed, but about striking a balance between self-love and humility. This equilibrium creates a strong foundation for happiness and success. Chapter 14. How to Heal from the Damage of Narcissistic Relationships. For those recovering from toxic relationships with narcissists, healing can feel daunting. Malkin provides a comprehensive guide to overcoming the emotional wounds left by such relationships. Reclaiming self-worth. Narcissistic relationships often leave individuals feeling inadequate or unworthy. Malkin encourages readers to practice self-compassion and affirm their own value. Breaking the cycle. Many people who grew up with narcissistic parents or partners may unconsciously seek similar dynamics in future relationships. Recognizing and breaking these patterns is a crucial step toward healing. Learning to trust again. After being manipulated or betrayed by a narcissist, trusting others can be difficult. Malkin offers exercises to rebuild trust gradually, starting with oneself and extending to close, reliable people. Therapeutic support. While self-help strategies are valuable, Malkin acknowledges that professional therapy can be instrumental in addressing deeper wounds. He discusses the types of therapy most effective for healing from narcissistic abuse, including cognitive behavioral therapy and trauma-focused therapy. This chapter is both empathetic and empowering, offering readers a clear path toward recovery and self-renewal. Chapter 15. Building Stronger Relationships. Malkin argues that one of the most profound ways to protect oneself from the effects of narcissism is to cultivate healthier, more secure relationships. In this chapter, he provides actionable advice for creating deeper connections, fostering mutual respect. Relationships thrive when both parties feel valued and respected. Malkin stresses the importance of active listening, open communication, and validating each other's feelings. Balancing independence and connection. Healthy relationships allow for individuality while also fostering closeness. Malkin encourages readers to maintain their own interests and identities while being supportive of their partners or friends. Addressing conflicts constructively. Disagreements are inevitable, but they don't have to damage relationships. Malkin shares techniques for resolving conflicts in ways that strengthen trust and understanding. Recognizing red flags. While cultivating healthy relationships is the goal, it's equally important to recognize when a connection is becoming toxic. Malkin revisits the warning signs of harmful dynamics and reminds readers to prioritize their well-being. This chapter serves as a practical guide to nurturing relationships that are fulfilling, balanced, and resilient. Chapter 16. The Role of Vulnerability in Healthy Narcissism. One of the most surprising elements of healthy narcissism is its reliance on vulnerability. In this chapter, Malkin challenges the misconception that vulnerability is a weakness. Instead, he argues that embracing vulnerability is essential to building confidence, empathy, and authentic connections. Why vulnerability matters. Vulnerability allows people to express their true selves, which fosters trust and intimacy in relationships. It also helps individuals confront and overcome their insecurities. Overcoming the fear of vulnerability. Many people, especially those who have been hurt by narcissists, fear being vulnerable. Malkin offers strategies for gradually opening up, starting with safe and supportive environments. Balancing strength and openness. Healthy narcissism involves recognizing one's strengths while also being willing to acknowledge flaws and seek help when needed. Malkin's discussion of vulnerability is deeply resonant, encouraging readers to embrace their imperfections as a pathway to growth and connection. Chapter 17. Nurturing Healthy Narcissism in Others. Just as it's possible to cultivate healthy narcissism in oneself, Malkin argues that it's also possible to encourage it in others, particularly children and loved ones. This chapter focuses on how to foster self-esteem and empathy in those around us. Raising resilient children. Malkin offers practical tips for parenting, emphasizing the importance of balancing praise with constructive feedback. He advises parents to focus on effort rather than outcomes and to model empathy in their own behavior. Encouraging growth in partners. While it's not your job to fix a narcissistic partner, Malkin explains that you can support their growth by setting boundaries, offering honest feedback, and reinforcing healthy behaviors. Promoting empathy in the workplace. For readers in leadership roles, Malkin shares strategies for fostering a culture of empathy and collaboration. This includes recognizing employees' contributions, encouraging open dialogue, and addressing narcissistic behavior constructively. By helping others develop healthy narcissism, readers can create environments that are more supportive, balanced, and fulfilling. Chapter 18. Creating a Narcissism-Informed Culture. In this final chapter, Malkin explores how society as a whole can address the rise of narcissism. He critiques the cultural forces that fuel excessive narcissism, such as social media, celebrity culture, and the obsession with self-promotion. At the same time, he highlights the potential for cultural change, promoting empathy and connection. Malkin advocates for initiatives that foster community, collaboration, and mutual respect. This includes education programs that teach emotional intelligence and empathy from a young age. Reassessing success. As a society, we need to move away from equating success with wealth, fame, and status. Instead, Malkin encourages readers to value contributions that benefit others and promote collective well-being. Balancing individuality and interdependence. While individual achievement is important, it should not come at the expense of our connections with others. Malkin urges readers to celebrate both personal accomplishments and the ways in which we support and uplift each other. This chapter serves as a call to action, inspiring readers to create a world where healthy narcissism thrives and harmful narcissism diminishes. Read the book to learn more. If you are liking the series, please subscribe and press the like button. Thank you.